I would like to start this episode with a shout out to maybe Jennifer on Twitch. Check out her channel now. You want to film about an underground crime syndicate forcing children to do their handiwork? You've come to the right place. A Chipmunk Adventure is the movie for you. And it's family friendly as well, so that's a plus. So before we get into the plot, I would love to get my cons out of the way because I love to end on a high note. So here's a couple cons with the film. It's a little choppy with the plot wise. Like, they run into like one place after another. There's not really a whole lot of plot here. It's very thinly strung, but it is a kids movie, so I mean, you can't be too hard on it. One other thing is, if you do find their voices annoying, you will be annoyed with this film. I I was able to bear it. I mean, I didn't find it too annoying, but there are people who hate these chipmunks' voices, and if you don't like don't watch the movie. But other than that, it was quite delightful. I found it very funny at certain points, like not very, very funny, but like funny as in it made me chuckle. And also, some of the songs are pretty catchy. So, anyway, let's dive into the plot, people. Dave is leaving on a business trip, and the chipmunks have to stay behind. And Alvin is very heartbroken about this because he wants to see the world, and he has no way of doing it if he's always left at home whenever Dave goes on business trips.
Now let's see. Shirts, pants, overcoat, socks. Am I forgetting anything? Alvin, we've been over this 1,000,000 times.
Please, Dave! I need a little culture in my life! The Eiffel Tower, the Sistine Chapel, the Louvre in Rome! The Louvre is in Paris, Alvin. You see? I don't even know where the Louvre is!
They end up, Dave gives them a babysitter, Miss Miller, who's hard at hearing, and they'll play on that the entire film. She's an old lady who can't hear and is also a bit crazy. Like I said, every time she's on screen, she either does something crazy or something that she just can't hear. That's about it. That's all her character is. You don't really have to worry too much about her because she's hardly in it. And same with Dave. He's in it like every once in a great, great while. He'll just pop up on screen and then he'll go away again.
I could have sworn. No, it couldn't be.
So Alvin is playing against Brittany on this arcade game called Race Around the World, where they have to race with little hot air balloons to go around the entire world. And while they're doing this, our main villains of the movie, Claudia and Klaus, their brother and sister, are talking and scheming in the corner because they don't have anybody to run their jewels around anymore because the detectives are on their tail and they've already got all their guys. They know all their tactics. They need something new. And they see Alvin and Brittany playing this game, and those two start fighting instead, saying things like, if this is a real trip around the world, I would definitely beat you. And they're getting in fights and stuff, and the Claudia and Klaus come up with a grand idea. They're going to get these children to race around the world and drop off their loot without them knowing it. And it was pretty easy to convince them because they're like, hey, whoever wins will get $10,000. So they hopped in. There you go. Underground crime syndicate getting somebody else's kids to run their stuff for them, putting them in danger because they don't care. They're criminals. That's exactly what you need in a family film. I can't push this hard enough. I don't think I've ever pushed it before, but I'm starting right now.
Will you consider a little wager? A bet like this would add a little excitement to our life.
So you're probably thinking, how is Miss Miller going to be on board with this plan? Easy, they trick her. They trick her into letting them go onto this trip by playing a recording of Dave's voice, so she thinks Dave is allowing this. Not the exact trip they're saying, but she thinks they're going to go stay with Dave, which is not what's going to happen. Right after they trick her, they head up to Claudia and Klaus's, and the balloons are all set, and they have these dolls, which they hid the jewels in, but the chipmunks do not know about this. They got these dolls and these cases, and they're like, first one to deliver all the dolls and get the extra doll that the checkpoint gives you wins the entire race. So Alvin and Brittany are just ignoring the red flags that the other chipmunks keep bringing up to them, like, hey, we can't operate a hot air balloon. Hey, why are they having us deliver these dolls? hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. We're just kids, and they want us to go all the way around the world. By the way, just going to touch on this real quick. Why are the chipmunks so big? They are chipmunks. They're this big. That's how big a chipmunk is. They are the size of human toddlers. Maybe even bigger than that. Nobody's questioning that. Just want to point that out there. Anyway, we're going to get back to the film. Sorry for taking you off course. So we get back to it. They hop in the balloons, get ready and start them up. And as you can expect, Claudia and Klaus's courtyard gets absolutely wrecked. Because, they're kids and they can't drive a hot air balloon. Who knew? Anyway, Claudia's like, they'll get the hang of it, which they actually surprisingly do. Instead of killing themselves, they actually get the hang of flying a hot air balloon very, very fast. I mean, I'm not sure if it's difficult at all, but it's probably more difficult than a couple of 12-year-olds can figure out. So the chipmunks land in Mexico, have a great time. They're part of a fiesta. They're singing songs. They're just having a blast. And the chipettes land, first off, they got caught in a hurricane, had a crash landing. And then, I forget where they went, but they stop off at this dock to make their first drop off. Guy's underwater, so they hop underwater and get attacked by sharks. So they're not having a good time so far. The chipmunks are having a blast. They're living an absolute nightmare. I mean, take it easy on the girls, whoever directed this film. Like, yikes. So after that, we get a montage of them making their drop-offs and picking up the next doll. And Claudia and Klaus are really, really happy with how they're doing. And one thing, I completely forgot to mention. There is a character named Sophie. She's a scruffy-looking dog, and she has a ton of beef with Klaus and Klaus with the dog.
Wonderful! Good!
Did a spoiled brat get wet? Did a rugrat get a little water on her?
I mean, Klaus kind of needs to chill out because it's just a dog, but yeah, they kind of fight the entire film, and actually, I'm more interested. I wish they got their own movie. I want to see Klaus versus Sophie, the film.
Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
Now, the chipmunks are in Athens. That's where they landed for their next drop-off after the little montage and stuff. And Theodore's still looking for food. I didn't mention that in the last part. Theodore's been looking for food this entire film because he's fat. And they're just going to make fat jokes about him. Like, Theodore's a little plumpy boy who wants his couscous. I mean, what else can I say?
Come on, Theodore!
So in Athens, the chipmunks and the chipettes meet up. They get into a fight a little bit. And then they, start fighting about who's a better singer. Not only a better racer, but who's a better singer and who's better at rock and roll. And they sing Girls and Boys of Rock and Roll. I'm not actually sure what the real name of the song is. That's just like the lyrics I can remember. I'll play like a second of it for you so you can kind of get an idea of what they're singing. One thing I gotta touch up on here, there are these men sent by Jamal. That's their rival person who you find out is a detective later in the film. And he sent them after the people dropping off these dolls, which of course are the chipmunks and the chipettes. So they're on their tail the whole time. They even mention that whenever they run in. But it's kind of just like swept to the side by both Alvin and Brittany because they're like, hey, they're just trying to get in our heads. They're the ones trying to win. We haven't had any trouble at all on this trip. And, all the other chipmunks are like, that's a ton of red flags. But, they don't care. They don't care.
Have you guys had any, trouble along the way? Well, there was this guy. We've had nothing but smooth sailing. And you? Well, actually, I get the feeling it's been a piece of cake.
So we focus on the Chipettes now for a little bit, and they run into this Sheik, and he steals their dolls, and not only that, he tries to steal Brittany. He says that I want her to be my wife, which is kind of no, not kind of. It is really weird. Like this is a chipmunk. Like you guys forgot about that when writing the script. He's in love with a chipmunk, an animal, a little animal. Not only that, a 12-year-old chipmunk. Sure, he's 12, but it doesn't make it any better.
Contact Jamal. Tell him he can have the dolls, but I want the girls.
But Jamal specifically ordered the girls to be returned.
I do not take orders from Jamal.
So the Sheik gives Brittany a penguin, a baby penguin, and this baby penguin really misses home, and if they don't get it back soon, it's going to die. So first they got to go back and get the dolls, which Brittany and Jeanette, the basically girl Simon, go and try and get the dolls, and there's these snakes there, so they like sing a song, and that completely distracts the snakes, and then they get the dolls and get out of there, and I don't know what the other one's name is. Girl Theodore sneaks Eleanor, that's her name. Eleanor sneaks the baby penguin out. They don't know about it though, and they decide that they're gonna take this baby penguin back to its home so it can be with its mama once again. And it's very sweet. And they sing an actual a pretty sweet song that's so touching and stuff, and it's just very nice. It's a very nice moment.
Auntie Eleanor. He's getting worse. What can we do? He needs his mama, Brittany. She'll know what to do. It's hard to remember summer or winter when she hasn't been there for me. A friend and companion, I can always depend on my mother. That's who I need.
Here's the bad news about them taking the baby penguin back to its mama. That means Claudia and Klaus got wind of this and think the Chipettes found the diamonds and are stealing them for themselves. So they sent assassins not only after the Chipettes, but after the chipmunks too. And they're going to take them out and take back their dolls and finish the job themselves because it's almost complete. Now, as I mentioned, but of course, they slip away. It's a kid's movie. So, of course, the Chipettes are going to get away from the assassins, but the chipmunks get themselves into some trouble.
You take 'em all this wampum, and we take 'em little butterball. You steal 'em from us last night. How about it? Brilliant negotiating, Alvin.
So after a while of focusing on the Chipettes, we're going to focus on the chipmunks. They took a shortcut and decided to sleep in the woods for the night, and then Theodore gets captured. They're not sure by who, but later Alvin and Simon figure out they're these savages, and they kidnapped Theodore. And then not only that, but they themselves get kidnapped by these people. And the savages strip them of their clothes, except for like little loincloths. Not really, and then they wear their clothes because I guess they're wearing very stretchy chipmunk clothes. And Theodore is the king, and they're worshiping him and giving him all the food they want. And that's great, right? Right? Wrong. They're going to get sacrificed. Theodore and the chipmunks will be sacrificed so they can have a plentiful harvest this year. But they offer them like one final words, and the chipmunks say, can we at least sing you a song? Like one of our favorite songs? So they sing Woolly Bully. That's the name of the song. And everybody's going nuts, and it's distracting them long enough for the Chipettes to swoop in and save the chipmunks. And that takes us down to the final showdown at the airport, where they run into Dave and the Claudia and Klaus get foiled, and everybody lives happily ever after. It's just a wonderful, happy ending. Oh, yeah, and there's where the road rage for Mrs. Miller also comes in. That was actually pretty funny.
Huh? My car! I hope you have insurance, Buster! Huh? Never in all my life have I seen such reckless driving!
Miss Miller?
Boys?
So this has been my review for The Chipmunk Adventure. Have you ever seen this movie? If you haven't, I would recommend go watch it if you have like kids with you. If not, if you're an adult and you like Alvin and the Chipmunks, I mean, you can go watch it too. There's no problem with that. But it's all around a delightful film. It's a wonderful kids film that has a lot of heart and a lot of spirit in it. The animation is beautiful. Some of the songs are pretty catchy, and it's a pretty fun watch. It's not too long, has a nice little runtime there for you, so you're not going to waste a whole lot while watching this film. If you've seen it, please leave what you thought in the comments. If you haven't seen it, name a movie you would like me to review. Of course, I'm going for the next few weeks to be reviewing Narnia and Alvin and the Chipmunks because that's what you both voted. They got tied. Now I'm going to make them fight each other. If you want to see the battle analysis, wait till after my Narnia review. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're watching this at night, have a great night. Have a great morning if in the morning. Have a great afternoon if it's the afternoon. And if you are on the toilet, it's time to wipe. I'm Roman Ritchie. This has been a Random Ritchie review.